Hello, I'm here with Clifford Rogers, who's a professor at West Point, United States Military Academy. He's also a scholar of medieval military history, and you've just are coming out with an encyclopedia. Could you just tell us a bit about it?
Sure. It's the Oxford Encyclopedia of Medieval Warfare and Military Technology, and it's 3 volumes, about 200,000 words, about 200 contributors. I'm sorry, not 200,000 words. Almost 900,000 words.
Okay.
200 contributors from 18 countries. So it's a pretty big project, and it covers the full range of the Middle Ages chronologically and geographically.
Why do you think that this kind of project is right to do it right now?
Well, medieval military history has, I think, in the past few decades, had a bit of a renaissance. That it goes way back. I mean, Charles Oman, and even before that, it's always been a topic that people were interested in. But as a real field of scholarly endeavor, it suffered a bit of a hiatus in the 70s and 80s. There was some very fine work being done, but there was military history in general. There was a certain turning away from, particularly in America, I think, connected in part to the Vietnam War. But warfare is so obviously and intimately connected to so many aspects of life in the Middle Ages that I think, fortunately, medieval history was better than some other aspects of history in terms of the willingness of people who weren't military specialists being their willingness to recognize the value of military history. And so there was always a fairly congenial atmosphere for the few people who were doing it, and that has led to a real expansion. And now there are actually quite a lot of people, as you know very well yourself, with De Re Militari, with our fantastic website. I think that's, well, it really is, and it has attracted a lot of interest, and the publication of many really good chronicles in translation has helped undergraduates move into the area. And so now there are a lot of people working on it, and there have been a number of reference works in the past, but nothing big enough to cover sort of the range of things that need to be talked about. And if you look even, for example, at the Dictionary of the Middle Ages, the big set, the military is really rather badly served in that. There were people to do it, there were people who wanted to read it, and it filled a lacuna. So
now, your research is kind of like on the 14th and 15th centuries, but you find that you have a lot of room to talk about different topics. Like, you're not restricted by, oh, this person has done it, or this research has already been done. But I can move in and I can talk and even deal with the theories about military history.
Right.
Like, how do you you go about setting about your research?
Well, you might think, Crecy, right? What do you say new about Crecy?
Yeah.
Because obviously, as I said, that's something that has been part of the English national myth, and that so many people have written about, and so many people have been interested in. But actually, we're often finding important new texts. For example, in my account of Crecy, in my book on Edward III strategy, made pretty heavy use of a text that I'm actually working on in an edition of, the Saint-Omer Chronicle, which had never been fully published before, a manuscript chronicle. And just recently, somebody else, which I didn't have when I wrote my book, unfortunately, an Italian scholar has pointed out that there is this had been published for a long time, but it was in an Italian chronicle, a really quite interesting account of Crecy that seems to have been based on reports from some of the Genoese crossbowmen coming back.
Okay.
And even though it had been published for a long time, nobody who had written about Crecy has ever used it. So there are new pieces of information coming to light all the time, and of course, archival documents. So that's one way that you can still be able to say things that are new. Another way is that generations tend to have their own approaches to historical questions that are influenced by the ground they're standing on, right? So, and sometimes that brings really valuable new insights. Sometimes I think it actually tends to lead people astray, and so sometimes you find that, you know, what has come to become an orthodox understanding of a particular topic, you know, when it's had a chance to settle for a while and sit, and then you come and look at it afresh, you see, well, you know, maybe that's not quite right, and you need to make adjustments. And just like in science, you're always looking for the marginal improvements, and sometimes you see that a pattern of these marginal improvements or changes in how we look at things sort of builds to the point where there's really, you know, a disjuncture between where we thought we were and where all these little steps have taken us, and you have to have a fairly major correction.
One final question is just, now that the encyclopedia is almost ready to go to publishing, what are you going to turn your research to? Like, what are you going to go back? Are you going to go back and like do more on Cressay, or are you going to look for new fields, or where are you thinking of going?
I'm going to be going in a bunch of different directions. I am going to try and finish up my edition translation of the Saint-Omer Chronicle. Okay. And I've got a piece that's just about done on the role of cavalry in medieval warfare generally. Oh, okay. And a number of other, you know, little projects here and there. And I'm actually going to try writing a chapter on the military history of the world in the Middle Ages, as opposed to just Europe, and broaden myself that way.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. It's like, because I've kind of been looking at Mamluks as a topic, and of course the Mongols, things like that. So, you know, like, certainly there's a lot of room for medieval military historians that kind of keep working and find new wonderful stuff.
And I'm sure that as I do that and learn more, that will actually give me material to take back to Europe and understand things better. In studying ancient history, for example, I found a lot of things that help me understand the medieval topics from analogy to things that are, for one reason or another, better explained in ancient sources than they are in medieval ones.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Rogers.
My pleasure.